Canal 5 3 a.m. tweets / Selene Delgado. Canal 5 is a Mexican TV network that broadcasts mainly kids content and sports. The network regularly hosted a segment called Servicio a la Comunidad at around midnight, where they would show missing persons photos and a general description of the person in hopes it would help. The story goes that one day the channel was broadcasting its missing person segment in 2001 when this image of someone named Selene Delgado showed up with no information given. Some people found this really disturbing, which I can understand. I mean, it's pretty uncanny looking. So flash forward to 2020, and the Twitter account of the Canal 5 station began to post super weird, kinda creepy videos at 3 in the morning with no explanation. This, combined with the Selene Delgado case I just mentioned, set a spark for people to make their own analog horror type videos about it. Mostly the Selene Delgado thing. This image, which you've probably seen, has been pretty commonly associated with the reenactment videos. The wide consensus is that the 3 a.m. tweets was kind of just a publicity stunt, which I personally believe is the case, since none of the videos were really bad, they were just creepy shitposts. Candid. So Candid is a now deleted app / website that used AI to give users personalized feeds of whatever is being discussed on the app. Users would have randomized names unique to each conversation to remove any personal connection with users, while still being anonymous. The app also used AI to sort out what it deemed as hate speech, and also gave users labels depending on what the AI saw them as. Articles reported on the app saying that the website was a new approach and finally defeated online trolls while still being anonymous. However, close to a year after the site's launch in 2016, Candid was shut down after the parent company was bought out. Canthal tilt. Canthal tilt is the angle at which your eyes sit at. Positive being angled upward and negative being angled downward. Look at the screen if you're confused. Canthal tilt was a big part of the whole looks maxing thing in 2024. Positive canthal tilt was the desired one of the two, but nothing else to this. Catboykami. Catboykami is the username of a man whose name is Tor Brooks. He started as another 2020 Omegle troll, and as with a lot of Omegle trolls, he was extremely racist. He would stream his Omegle trolling sessions and then later upload them to his Telegram channel and more. There's several images of him wearing blackface as well as lots of other pretty, terrible things. One of his biggest impacts was inspiring the much more popular Gypsy Crusader to start making videos of his own. Catboykami has been kicked off too many platforms to name at this point, pretty much ending his existence on the internet. Changed. Changed is a game from 2018 that is very heavily furry influenced. It is said to be a little bit fetishy and a little graphic, but besides that, the game is very highly reviewed and it is said to actually be pretty difficult. Charles Veitch. Charles Veitch is a British YouTuber and activist who makes videos mainly showcasing various footage of protests he attends. Usually videos where fights and arguments break out gain the most views on his channel. His recent videos mainly involve him at protests about the war going on in the Middle East, but his videos are pretty crazy to watch. Charlie Brown had hose. So Charlie Brown had hose is a phrase used on Twitter in response to someone else telling a lie or straight up something wrong. It came from this tweet which people would screenshot and reply with, and then after that it blew up. Nothing more to it. Cheryl McGregor / Curan McCain. These two people are a married couple and both are viral on TikTok. Cheryl owns the TikTok account with almost 5 million followers and makes vlogs and other typical, TikTok stuff. The couple gained a lot of attention for their very unusual age gap, with Cheryl being 64 and Curan being 27. The couple just became known as the TikTok couple with a 37-year age gap, but they seem very happy on the surface and are trying to have a child, so I guess good on them. Chet Goldstein. Chet Goldstein, real name Alex Rosen, is the founder of the group named Predator Poachers, a group that creates fake accounts to lure and find predators on the internet, mostly through dating sites. One of his most notable finds, or I guess captures, was when he conducted a sting operation on YouTuber EDP445, which famously resulted in the end of EDP's career. Alex Rosen's group has allegedly resulted in the arrest of predators across the country. Despite seeming like he's doing perfect work, he has caught some controversy for things like using his 16-year-old cousin's pictures for fake profiles on dating sites. Chris V/Chris V Grooming Allegations. Chris V is a former cameraman for the YouTuber and streamer Kai Cenat. Unfortunately, this dude was caught talking to minors and he got fired. Very sad. Chuck Windig/Internet Archive Lawsuit. So first I will explain what the Internet Archive is. The Internet Archive is a website which is the closest thing to a digital library. It has millions of books, images, music, movies, and more stored on the website, all for free. Which, by the way, there are university textbooks on that website for free, so you should take advantage of it. Now on to the lawsuit. Basically, some authors like Chuck Windig found that the Internet Archive had their books on the site illegally. The website is supposed to buy the books before they could put it on there, by the way. The authors also said the Internet Archive is nothing like a physical library, due to the fact that there could be an unlimited number of digital copies made from a piece of text. But a physical one is going to cost someone to, print it and stock it. Chuck Windig actually didn't have much to do with the lawsuit itself, and only really posted a thread on Twitter relating to it, but that thread definitely helped start the lawsuit, indirectly or not. Cicada 3301. Cicada 3301 is one of the largest ARGs on the internet. I guess I haven't really explained what an ARG is, so I'll, get that out of the way. An alternate reality game is usually a string of puzzles that have some sort of overarching story attached to them. And by people working together to solve the puzzles, more and more of the story will get unlocked. Now back to Cicada 3301. It all started with a normal looking image posted to 4chan in 2012 that had the text, "We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test." And also, there is a message hidden in this image. The image had some hidden text that could only be accessed through a special program, which when that program was run, it outputted a different message leading to a subreddit, and the line of puzzles goes on, and after a month, another image was posted by 3301, who is the person behind this, saying they have found the individuals they were looking for, and that there will be more opportunities like this one. 2013 comes around and a new wave of puzzles dropped, just like the first ones, and a third round came in 2014. The third round of puzzles was never solved to this day, and that's where it left off. The puzzles featured media from literally every single type, even as far as printed QR codes placed all around the world. There were a few people that ended up solving the first and second puzzles, but not a lot was heard from them after they did it. One winner, named Marcus, claimed to be invited to a private forum after completing the puzzles. The true purpose of Cicada 3301 remains unknown, and it seems too large to just be a prank. I mean, it took people all across the world to create this. There's a really good explanation video by the YouTuber Lemino. You should definitely watch if you want a more in-depth look at this. Class of 09. Class of 09 is a visual novel game released in 2021. You play as someone named Nicole, who is a sociopath and American high school student in 2007. The game describes itself not as a dating simulator, but a rejection simulator. The gameplay involves a lot of forming relationships and creating chaos in your fellow classmates. The game got extremely high ratings and reviews say it's pretty realistic to actual high school. Cleverbot. Cleverbot is a chatbot from 2008, kind of like modern day ChatGPT. It would allow users to talk to the bot and it would try its best to come up with a response. The creepypasta known as Ben Drowned referenced Cleverbot, which resulted in it gaining some popularity. The story of Ben Drowned basically was a kid that drowned and his spirit possessed a Legend of Zelda cartridge for some reason, and someone bought the cartridge and then the spirit started possessing his computer and used Cleverbot to speak. Cleverbot's still around nowadays, so if your friends really hate you and you need someone to talk to, Cleverbot's there for you. Clockman. If you look up Clockman now, you're going to see a bunch of skibbity toilet stuff, but what this is actually talking about is a lost Nickelodeon cartoon known as Clockman. Many people remember seeing this cartoon, remembering it as a boy that was sleeping when the clock above his bed hits midnight and this creepy looking dude comes out and kidnaps him. In 2016, the lost media finding group known as the Lost Wiki started to dive heavily into uncovering Clockman. It took about a year for it to be found in 2017. It ended up being a short named About Dressy Sally, originally in Czech. There's a video by Blame It On Jorge that goes in depth about the whole search. I would recommend watching it. Coaxed into a Snafu. Coaxed into a Snafu is a type of comic very similar to the old Rage comics that were around in like 2010. They're very poorly drawn, and nowadays the comics are usually ironic in a way, but when they were first around like 9 years ago, they typically had a line in the first panel, and then each panel after that, the line would progressively use more complicated words. This used to be funny, I swear. The phrase coaxed into a snafu itself is actually just a complicated way of saying the word troll. Coco. Coco, not the movie, is a now deleted diss track made by former most subscribed YouTuber Pewdiepie. The diss track was aimed at the YouTube channel Cocomelon, which was getting close to surpassing Pewdiepie in sub count. The video was mostly made for fun and to keep PewDiePie's legacy of making a diss track for channels that passed him in subscribers since the whole, T-Series one. But YouTube took the video down for violating its bullying and harassment policies. The video is archived everywhere though, so it's pretty easy to find. The Coconut Challenge. The Coconut Challenge is a TikTok trend that took off in 2023. The challenge is that while a woman is on top of a man, she has to spell the letters of the word coconut using her waist. At first it seems pretty dumb. Cole Sprouse's Tumblr experiment. Cole Sprouse is an actor who played Cody Martin on the show The Suit Life of Zack and Cody. In 2012, he opened up a Tumblr blog where he would upload photography and other stuff. His blog blew up, and he surprisingly actually responded to the messages that he was receiving. Then, pretty much out of nowhere, Cole deleted the blog saying it was all a social experiment to study humans. He got a ton of backlash because running a study on your own fanbase is kinda weird, but he made it out alive and not much more happened. Content leaks. Content leaks are when an upcoming game, movie, album, or whatever gets a portion of it shown to the public before it's intended to. A lot of notable content leaks happen in the gaming world, like when Half-Life 2 was leaked almost a year before it came out, all because some German dude basically got access to the entire Valve servers. Sometimes you also get the rogue employee of the company that decides to leak everything for almost no reason. Condom Challenge. The Condom Challenge has two different meanings, and you probably are familiar with one of them at least. The safer one is when someone drops a water-filled condom on your head, and that's pretty much it. The second Condom Challenge started back in 2006, and it's when you snort a condom and try to cough it back through your mouth. What am I doing with my life, man? Comicsgate. Comicsgate was a controversy started in the late 2010s in the comics community. Comic sales were doing terribly at the time, and some groups of people blamed the rising amount of politics and socially acceptable themes ruining the stories. The companies that were behind the comics claimed the readers just didn't accept diversity. And as with most political situations like this, you're going to get different stories from different sides, but what I said is pretty much the gist of it. Corpse Party. Corpse Party is a large series of RPG games starting back in 1996. The basic plot goes that you are with your friends doing a ritual that goes wrong and you get sent to an alternate reality version of your elementary school, where spirits of students try to kill you and you have to try to escape. With a story like that, the visuals are going to be kinda gory, as you can imagine, so keep that in mind if you ever play it. Cool Guy Has a Chill Day. Cool Guy Has a Chill Day is a YouTube video from 2009. It has a character named Cool Guy, who is someone wearing a hoodie with a mannequin head having a chill day. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Cosmodor. Cosmodor is a former cartoon reviewing YouTuber who was discovered to be dating a 15-year-old at the ripe old age of 19. The controversy around this dude exploded on YouTube 3 to 4 years ago, and the once loved YouTuber turned quickly into a groomer. It's really sad how many times I'm going to have to talk about this, by the way. Cow level. In the game Diablo, a rumor was started that if you click on a certain cow in the town hub enough times, a portal would open up to a secret area. The hoax was one of the largest gaming rumors at the time. In the sequel, Diablo 2, the developers actually added the cow level as content after the game is completed. You would access it by collecting certain items, and the area even had its own boss. I always love it when game developers actually acknowledge their communities and add little like Easter eggs or jokes like this. Cranking my hog. I really hope that you don't need me to tell you what cranking my hog is slang for, but there's this one subreddit called The Pack that really likes to say that for some reason, but nothing much I could say. Credit Song for My Death. Credit Song for My Death is an 8-bit song created by vivivivivi in 2021, and you could hear it in the background right now. The video stands at a strong 9 million views on YouTube today, and the song received a ton of spin-offs and remixes that had their own successes. People say the song is depressing, uplifting, heroic, and feels exactly like a credit song for your death. Curiosity, what's in the cube? What's in the Cube is a social experiment type of game that lasted from 2012 to 2013. The gameplay wasn't all that exciting. There was this massive cube in the center of the screen, and you kind of just digged out one pixel at a time to reveal the next layer, and so on until eventually there was a prize at the middle. The devs of the game promised something life-changing would be the prize. So a couple months go by after its launch, and the cube is finally done. And the prize...
And it is the ability to be a digital god. We are making a game called Goddess. The whole game is about being a god to your followers. You
was a special role in their next game, Goddess. Yeah, people weren't too happy about this. The winner of the game was someone named Brian Henderson. The role that Henderson received was said to last 5 to 10 years, but in reality, it only lasted like a couple months. And to make it even worse, the devs included that 1% of the revenue gained from their game Goddess would go to Henderson. But Goddess ended up being such a failure that Henderson didn't even receive anything. So it kind of just made the entire Cube game pointless. Cybersmith. Hey, remember those lolcows I mentioned last episode? Yeah, Cybersmith was one of those. Here's what he looks like, and he became known as the human pet guy after he was yapping about how keeping a human as a pet wouldn't actually be such a bad thing. In the thread on Tumblr, Cybersmith pulls the biggest hear me out hypothetical ever, and imagines a scenario where he walks into a restaurant with his quote-unquote human pet, with its vocal cords, eyes, toes, and some tendons removed to disable it and make it more animal-like. He then claims that bringing that abomination of a human into a restaurant would not infringe on anyone's liberties at all. And if you think it does, you're discriminatory. Yeah, he gets made fun of a lot for stuff like that, and just imagining this guy saying all that is, oh my god, that's hilarious. Cryptome. Cryptome is a really interesting website. It's most similar to the site WikiLeaks if you ever heard of it. But I would say Cryptome is a little bit more under the radar than WikiLeaks. The site claims it is a safe space for files banned by governments all across the world, and files can be submitted here to the site anonymously. The site has a pretty big history of revealing the identities of CIA agents, so that's cool. I remember when I viewed this one page on Cryptome that was a list of coordinates, and they would point to like random houses and random patches of forest and sometimes like airports and stuff, and they were apparently these like US military communication facilities, and there was one actually pretty close to my house, which is a little concerning, but just in case it's illegal, I'm not going to show it, but just be aware that it exists out there. I do apologize if I destroyed your eardrums in the last section. My microphone was being loud for no reason. Dad. Dad is an ARG and YouTube channel created in 2019 by Nathan Barnett. Most videos are short and kind of eerie, but the story of the ARG is kind of long since it's still going on, actually, to this day. So I'd recommend checking out a video on it. Matt Pat himself called it the longest, most committed ARG out there. Also, Dad has done a few boxing matches, which why not, you know?
He's going forward! He's vanishing into this channel right now. Left hook. He's trying to take Matt's head off another left hook.
Daedon at the door. Daedon at the door is this terrifying image. A Daedon is an extinct, thank God, animal that is terrifying in its own right. This statue right here was made to recreate the Daedon, and someone photoshopped it into a Ring doorbell camera, and there you go. The cursed image was created. Daily Dose. So at first I thought Daily Dose was referring to that one YouTube channel with the daily dose of the internet, but it has the not safe for work tag, and that doesn't really fit that channel like at all. But anyway, what it's actually talking about is a GIF of the Dragon Ball character Piccolo railing out Vegeta. I can't show it obviously, but people would post this GIF daily on 4chan, which is where it got the name Daily Dose from. Over time, it kind of became a trend to devolve the GIF into lower quality versions till it was literally just a few pixels, and the GIF was so burned into people's memories that they would still be able to recognize it. Danburu. Danburu is an anime image board. It has lots of different tags and categories to find anything you're looking for. But most of them happen to be porn, of course. Actually, that's what most of the site is. It took a surprising amount of searching to even find a screenshot I could use for this video. The site is still seen as a place to post, kind of standard art, but in reality it's far from that. According to this random Reddit thread that I found, the site also has a very big AI problem, and some AI models were trained on the site, which is pretty much a death sentence to the art community. Dan Ninen. Dan Ninen is a comedian who specializes in making jokes about the fact that he's South Asian. He for some reason is loved by a whole menu of presidents and is pretty hated by the comedy world. He constantly brags about how much money he's making and commonly used to crap on other comedians for pretty much no reason. He also is known for lying about several things like his age. He has bought a bunch of Twitter followers, and in 2013 he was arrested and charged for assault after he punched a reporter for just criticizing him. Nowadays he's completely irrelevant. Dark Simpsons. Dark Simpsons is a YouTube channel that takes tiny clips of the show The Simpsons and edits them together to create a usually darker story. The channel was, unfortunately, demonetized in 2023 due to the many dark video topics that it had. Dead Internet Theory. Dead Internet Theory is the theory that most, if not all, of the content created on the internet is AI or bot generated, so that the world powers can control the population. One of the origins of the theory is on the previously mentioned website Agora's Road Macintosh Cafe. I remember the theory gaining a lot of traction earlier this year when Facebook was infested with AI-generated garbage, and even Facebook themselves claimed that they were creating AI-generated accounts to mimic human ones. Even earlier than that, when Elon Musk was buying Twitter, a few studies were done saying Twitter was about 5 to 14% made up of bots. The theory gets even more credible when you add all the view bots, sub bots, and like bots on literally every single social media site on the internet. Since I am a potential content creator who hopes to make something off of this one day, this theory does scare me a little bit as it becomes more and more real. I was watching a video by Some Ordinary Gamers once where he mentioned that since advertisers are paying their ads to be viewed by real people, if it comes out that a majority of those views are coming from bots, why would they keep paying YouTube or Instagram or whatever to keep showing their ads? Hopefully, it all just is a theory though, and hopefully my videos provide a little entertainment for the real people out there. Dear David. Dear David is a Twitter ARG created by Adam Ellis in 2017. The story goes that David is a spirit of a child that appears in people's dreams. You can ask him 2 questions while he's in your dream, but if you dare to ask him 3, he haunts you. This is apparently what he looks like, by the way. Way down the line, a movie was created going off the story in 2023, which it didn't get the best reviews. People said the story was completely different from the original, and it wasn't even scary. It's still cool to see a simple ARG from Twitter get turned into a film though. Derek Savage / Cool Cat Saves the Kids. Derek Savage is a dude that has a movie and a really cool name. He was the writer and producer of the kids film Cool Cat Saves the Kids. The whole plot of the film is that Cool Cat goes around and is supposed to teach kids some lessons like, gun safety. Yeah, these films weren't the best and the internet ate it up. So many videos were made reviewing Cool Cat Saves the Kids and not many were positive. One in particular, by YouTuber I Hate Everything, caught the attention of Derek Savage himself and he started harassing I Hate Everything. Derek Savage also has a website of his own, and God is it beautiful. You can find something else Derek hosts on the website, called the 420 Awards, which despite being a marijuana-themed show, Cool Cat is very commonly associated with the 420 Awards, all the time. Dick Masterson. Dick Masterson is an online comedian, author, and host of the podcast called The Dick Show. He made satirical books where he acts as one of those alpha male Andrew Tate kind of dudes, and he also has a Twitter account which is pretty much just nothing but politics, so not much to it. Digital Hoarding. Digital hoarding is a rising concept where someone holds so much trash on their computer that it will literally cause them stress and anxiety. While it isn't nearly as bad as actual hoarding is, the research shows that people that hoard tons of files on their computers have lower productivity, mental well-being, and even security issues, so clean out your trash, okay? Dylan the Hacker. Dylan the Hacker is the final entry we will be looking at today. Dylan made rant-style videos, usually only 1 or 2 minutes long, about random YouTubers who were popular like 10 years ago. His videos were jokes, and the fan bases couldn't pick that up, which led to his videos gaining even more traction. When the whole Pewdiepie and T-Series thing was going on, Dylan made a ton of videos on it and got some pretty good numbers off it too. On July 12th of 2019, Dylan uploaded his last video on YouTube before passing away 6 days later on July 18th, at 20 years old. No explanation was given on his passing, but an old friend of Dylan claims it was depression related. Dylan was tributed in PewDiePie's 2019 YouTube Rewind and now forever rest in peace. Well, we made it to the end of another video, and again, thank you for listening to me yap about random stuff for, 25 minutes? Going forward, the videos are probably going to be shorter like this, like 25 to 30 minutes long. When I made the first one, the editing software I was using started to lag so much that it was miserable to make, so this is a lot better. Anyway, I spent 2 weeks making this video to try to entertain you, so if you could give back a little bit, maybe drop a like or a sub, I'd appreciate it. But anyway, enjoy your weekend and I'll see you for part 3 of the largest internet iceberg.